So the Union of BC Municipalities is having its annual convention, and our reporter Cassidy, Olivier, is live there via Skype, and he's got some breaking news. Apparently there may be a breakthrough in the Ferry file.
Hi, Ian. Yeah, there seems to be some kind of movement on the file now. Just to back up and give you a bit of background on this, this has to do with a policy paper that the UBCM released last week, and it had to do on, it was a socio-economic study on the impact that the ferry increases, the ferry rate fare increases, and the reduction in services it had on the province, specifically with coastal communities. Basically, what it concluded was that the province is out about $2.3 billion worth of economic activity because of the cuts. This is going back there. They measured it from 2003 onward. And also that we're out about $600 million in taxation opportunities because of this. So the UBCM released this report last week. Minister Stone, Todd Stone, Transportation Minister Todd Stone initially came out and said, oh, I don't have much to say, I haven't really seen it. And then he followed that up by slamming the report, saying it was irresponsible of the UBCM to release it. And so fast forward to today, what we had today is that delegates unanimously voted to endorse the policy paper. So they're saying they're using this as a victory of sorts, saying they have the support behind them to push the government to make some changes. And essentially what they want to do is they want the government to replace the current fares with what was there at 2003 levels. So, and the services back to what it was like before they had cut it. And they also want the government to take a deep breath, they're saying, examine this policy paper, and they want the ferries to be considered part of the transportation system.
So Cassidy, does that mean that in effect the government, they said they had to save money, so they're saving money in one hand because there's fewer ferries running, but at the same time they're losing tax revenue, so in a way they're taking money out of one file, adding it to another file, and the result is perhaps not what government had in mind in the first place.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And in the policy paper as well, we're hearing that, it's having a pretty disastrous effects, on local economies. Hearing even things that like housing starts are down in some of these local economies because people just aren't going there. So this afternoon, what we're hearing is that leadership from some of these local coastal communities are going to be meeting with Premier Christy Clark, Transportation Minister Todd Stone, and Jobs and Tourism Minister Shirley Bond. And they're hoping, the coastal communities at least are hoping that, some kind of resolution can come out of this.
I know that the NDP has spent a lot of time hammering the government about the cost of ferry fares. Anecdotally, I was on the Port Townsend ferry last week, 30-minute run, $13.40 with a car. In Bowen Island, 20-minute run, so a shorter run, $29.40. So considerably more. So that's the sort of thing that these coastal communities are saying, I believe, is if you make it too expensive, the people will not come, and that's what that study has found.
That's right.
Another...
Sorry, basically it concluded as well that ridership is down about 11%, and if they had capped the rate increases to inflation, it would actually be up 19%. So quite a big disparity there.
Wow. And these are communities that really their way of generating income is by getting visitors. So that's crucial to them. Another interesting thing that will happen here is this is John Horgan's first speech to the assembled politicians, municipal politicians of BC. He's a little bit of an untested figure as far as public speaking. We know Christy Clark is a good communicator. How do you think the two will perform in this audience?
Well, this is what we were talking about. I think this is one of the interesting things about this year's meeting. John Horgan, I've never seen him speak publicly personally to such a large crowd. We've seen him before. You and I have had a laugh about it before at times, just when he gets up in the House and he takes on Rich Coleman. It's this big battle back and forth of these two heavyweights. Obviously, the legislature is a lot different than addressing a convention of municipal delegates, but I think he should perform quite well. There's a lot of ground. I think there's a lot of opportunity for him to kind of pitch this idea that They are not just the opposition, but they're a government in waiting, this alternative government. John Horgan's speaking a lot of the same language, using a lot of the same language Christy Clark is using, just in terms of resource development. He's for resource development. He's about the economy. He's about bringing that there. And in terms of public speaking, just as a guy, he seems to carry himself a lot differently than Adrian Dix did. Seems a little more comfortable in front of a crowd, can kind of joke around a little bit. But as I said, haven't seen him speak publicly. I think this will be kind of a big test for him, but it should be interesting.
And of course, it's a bit of a boxing match, you know, who's the better leader, the man who wants to be premier or the premier. She, of course, has the advantage that she can come with bearing gifts. Do we see a breakthrough in the forest file? In Ferries, do you see anything other than we're going to have LNG and it'll be great?
Yeah, that's a tough one to say. I've only been up here a few hours. I'm trying to get a read on, what we might be able to expect on Friday. Usually people stick around because the Premier's address, historically, she throws out a few gems, as they say, to help people out. We know last year she did a big announcement where she was going to replace the George Massey Tunnel with a new bridge. I don't think we can expect something as big this year. But then again, it's hard to say really what she has up her sleeve.
Under promise and over deliver always works.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Cassidy Olivier, reporting live from the UBCM.